in fact, if one implements your thinking to make more equal the tax treatment of profit making and nonprofit, that would end up meaning raising taxes, wouldn't it, on the big nonprofits at least? I don't know. I'm now asking an outright political question.
I would guess that they would have to pay more than they do now. Yeah, sure. If if you own property and you have to pay property taxes, guess what? That's more tax.
Yeah. And when you make reference to that, that's regarding mostly, I think, hospitals probably, right?
And universities,
yeah.
which own all the good land in St. Louis.
Oh, interesting. I was trying to think of other cities too. I think, and then
Pittsburgh would be another one.
Yeah, payments in lieu of
Cleveland.
Yeah, Pittsburgh, I think, has had some activity on this issue. All right, still and on politics. For one to pursue keeping it here now at a general level, reform of, I'll say, nonprofitdom, philanthropy, to me is what I think of, the givers, would require overlap, a Venn diagram between libertarians and populism in the current political context. No, and if so, that seems to me doable. I mean, you're taking the libertarian position, less government, the better. The populist sort of primal scream about what's going on in nonprofitdom would be open to hearing your thinking and maybe even pursuing it in policy. No?
Yeah, I don't know what the politics look like. I mean, libertarians, you could make a libertarian argument that it would be great to expand the nonprofit sector at the expense of government. And the progressive view is we should expand government at the expense of nonprofits. And some of what I'm arguing for is more in line with the progressive view than what you might call a libertarian view.
Yeah. And as I know you know, many progressives think big philanthropy, I'll say, I might be cheating there, right, with the adjective, is anti-democratic. And you had a little bit of that in your remark before. This is benefiting the wealthy at the expense of the recipient of a smaller nonprofits, grassroots.
I mean, I would rather talk this than this gets maybe my most extreme and counterintuitive view. I would rather be talking wealthy people to invest for profits than to give back, quote unquote, to the community, because when they invest for profits, the success depends on pleasing customers, and when they quote give back, then it's a vanity project.
Mm-hmm. That works with the hospitals or the university? Like, I actually don't know the answer to that. But is there more vanity in hospitals or universities? In the hospital context, it's related to whatever sickness the rich person might have had, I suppose, or whose life they saved. Then, just a thought experiment for fun. If tax exemption and deductibility were wiped away tomorrow, would charity end?
I assume not. I mean, something. I think it would become, I hope, more focused, and hopefully the grassroots charity would continue because people still see the social insurance benefit from that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's happening now. Many people are, not everybody who gives to charity is using the deduction. They don't even really care. Yeah. Maybe some, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, again, with if you think of grassroots funded, then there's no special advantage for wealthy people to donate, and there are people at all income levels who do donate to charity.
Yes, and increasingly at the highest levels of wealth in America, philanthropy, as they would call it, and me too, is being done through LLCs. They're not taking they're deciding to forego the conditions on using the deduction, taking advantage of the deduction. Is what you're thinking already happening anyway with the richest? They're opting out. They wouldn't call it for profit, but they leave open the ability, I suppose, to make a for social responsible for profit enterprise or something like that.
Yeah, I haven't been following that development, so I can't say.
Right. Okay. All right. So we will then, if we follow the Kling theory, try to limit. But to make equal is really your underlying point. The distinction between for-profit and nonprofit is not yielding good benefit policy-wise.
Yeah, again, it's not like the profit-seeking business is the taker and the nonprofit is the giver. It's the profit-seeking is accountable to customers and the nonprofit is accountable to donors. And the accountability to donors works all the way down through the organization, so that instead of looking out to the beneficiary, they're looking up to the donor. So can I make a good PowerPoint presentation to the donor? Do I have a good annual report? And then the employees, instead of saying, are we dealing well with the beneficiaries? It's, is my boss happy with what I'm doing? And can I carve out a bigger empire for myself? And can we make sure that this charity keeps going, which may mean not solving the problem? So all the incentives kind of can be misaligned in the nonprofit, whereas in the profit-seeking business, there certainly are ways to be corrupt, but ultimately being accountable to customers really makes the mission a little bit more secure.
Yeah, and then really everything you said there, if I'm a progressive, I kind of almost agree with. There's drawbacks to relying only on donors. A progressive might say, well, we need to make this more democratic, therefore get government involved. You would have an opinion about that as the
well, if government were wise about allocating resources, I think the outcomes would be very different among different types of economies. In particular, the communist governments would have been the most effective, the most efficient, and the capitalists the least efficient. In fact, when the more you centralize and the more you politicize resource allocation, generally speaking, the worse it gets. It just your hope is that sort of wise experts, who are very emotionally detached, will make the right decisions, and the practice is people are self-interested, and above all, they don't have the wisdom required. That's really the main reason for my libertarian outlook, is that the belief that wisdom is not so heavily concentrated and decentralized systems work better.
Yeah. Well, why don't we end it there? Thanks so much for doing this with us, Arnold Kling, and we'll make sure everybody checks out the Substack page.